Here's some news. Don't worry, folks, we're keeping it light again today. A couple weeks ago, we distracted ourselves from the dreaded election by just clowning on the Cybertruck for an hour. And so this week, we're keeping that accelerator stuck, going full throttle after we activate a few screens and authenticate our touch key app lock, and then troubleshoot until we realize we need the latest patch update, which we can't download because the update is what we need in order to get the Wi-Fi to work. Indeed. Vroom vroom. We're looking at the election and going full speed away, covering our anxious reality with fingerprint smudges, something that's like rust but isn't rust, and complete denial that anything else is going on in the news right now. We decided to spend this episode mostly just talking about cute animals. It's gonna be a real adorable one, folks. We're talking cats. We're talking dogs. We're talking all kinds of pets. Do we have a clip?
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Oh, no. But oh yes, that was indeed former president and possible future president again, Donald John Melius Trump, waxing poetic to the entire nation about how immigrants are eating people's pets. He was alluding to some specific places and a specific alleged real-world problem in order to highlight a broad concern and to make a broader point about the issue of immigration to the American people. In this case, that specifically in Springfield, Ohio, immigrants are eating people's pets. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets, as he said. And it's because of the Democrats that millions of immigrants are here, and Joe Biden sent hundreds of thousands of them across the country, and in many cases, Kamala Harris bussed thousands of them in herself. Do we have a clip?
On the bus, go round and round.
Not how it goes. The least how it goes it's ever been. I don't think I'm being uncharitable when I say that the broad point being made by Trump's example is immigrants are a threat to your way of life. The savages are no longer at the wall, which is unclear if we still need to build, but they are in your neighborhoods, eating your pets. And I don't think I'm being unreasonable by saying that if you hadn't been following politics online for the previous few days, or as we'll learn, weeks and months, then you probably watched the former and current one of two candidates to be president say that immigrants are eating people's dogs and cats, and you probably thought something like, wait, what? Did he just say they're eating people's pets? You might have even then thought, that's a f***ed up thing to say. But this is supposed to be a really cute episode about pets. So let's go to Trump's pet with Trump's pet's pet. And that person seen there just after being explained leashes for the first time, although he is not the originator of the claims, has claimed ownership of them. Obviously, Trump said it, and he says a lot of bizarre and terrible things. But by all accounts, JD Vance has become the face of the immigrants are eating your pets media story, in that he purports to believe it, spread it, quadruple down on it, and continues to be trotted out by Trump's campaign in support of it, whether or not it's even true.
The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
You just said that this is a story that you created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not accurate.
Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it.
It would be nice occasionally if a Dana Bash type would prod a little further when presented with these types of vague, cutesy phrasings deployed to elude description. Okay, you're saying it's just cat memes. Describe the memes. What are they alluding to? What are they insinuating? What is the message of the meme? That's what memes are, right? Little cultural messengers, sometimes jokes, often propaganda. Because the message of these just cat memes seems to be that Donald Trump is going to save the civilized people from the pet-eating savages who've been sneakily brought here by nefarious forces. More on all that later, but to be clear and fair, and the other one, JD is not saying that the stories aren't true, or that they are true, but that they're not kind of untruly false. It's like jazz. It's the lies you don't tell. Or, as we'll see, the lies you just keep on telling, man. You gotta stop, JD. You gotta stop, man. JD later clarified the meaning of his "I make media stories" admission later at a rally.
What I said is that we create media stories. In other words, we focus the people's attention on what's already going on. Does anybody really think, I challenge you, go to Springfield, Ohio, which has been overwhelmed by 20,000 Haitian immigrants. Go to any community that's been overwhelmed by Kamala Harris's illegal alien policies and tell me that these are stories made up by politicians. These are stories that people have been living for months or in some cases years. The only thing that Donald Trump and I did is highlighted and focused on it so that you guys would stop ignoring the American people.
I challenge ya. Livin'. Totally natural. But also, all y'all gotta calm down there, fellas. He didn't say he made up stories, even though yes, he did. He simply is saying that he said, we create media stories, which again, sounds like lying for the purposes of propaganda. But his definition of what he's doing, which we will take in good faith for no good reason because he doesn't deserve it, is, in his words, we focus the people's attention on what's already going on. Going on. But okay then, let's do that. What was already going on that the Donald Trump will save immigrants from eating your cats memes needed to bring the people's attention to? What was already going on? Where were these claims even coming from? How did JD Vance first try to focus the people's attention on what's already going on? Well, in early September, he tweeted, "Months ago, I raised the issue of Haitian illegal immigrants draining social services and generally causing chaos all over Springfield, Ohio. Reports now show that people have had their pets abducted and eaten by people who shouldn't be in this country. Where is our border czar?" Now, this is true. He did bring up the issue of Haitian migrants a bit earlier. Not about pets being abducted and eaten by foreign invaders, but about foreign invaders taking everybody's homes and stuff. We will absolutely Omega promise to get back to that one instance of him bringing that up. But first, we want to get to the bottom of the media story he's creating in order to focus on what's really going on. As he wrote in the tweet on the website Twitter, reports are showing that people who shouldn't be in this country are abducting and eating other people's pets. As his running mate and our former president said a day later,
they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
That was September 10th. So close. And Vance's tweet was September 9th. So this moment from Donald Trump appears to be some sort of trickle-up situation. Trump got it from JD. And so where did Vance get it from? To hear JD tell it, it's from his constituents. His constituents who moved there over the last few years? Of course not. They don't count because they can't legally vote for him. But then I also thought that all these migrants were imported here to illegally vote. So I guess they do vote. So they are your constituents. So I guess you should care. Also, they're human beings living in Ohio. So consider that too. Anyway, before September 9th, you may have seen a few very popular posts containing rumors about this. For example, on September 7th, this professional fraud and liar Ian Miles Chong posted about this woman from Ohio who ate a cat, coyly adding, "How does something like this happen?" Now, this woman did apparently kill someone's cat and attempt to eat it in front of people. This woman, however, is not from Springfield, but rather Canton, Ohio. And this woman, who happens to be black, is also not a Haitian migrant. Now, you may be saying, but Ian didn't say she was Haitian or an immigrant or that being Haitian was bad. He merely asked how something like that happens. To which I say, you fucking rube, you absolute slob brain. All you need to do is look at the top reply, a blue check, of course, thank you, Elon, which asks, drugs? To which that wormy little guy replied, worse, Haitians. But that's just one lying fascist propagandist and one example of Haitians eating pets in Springfield that turned out to be false. I'm sure there are many more examples, and those ones will be true this time. And that will be where JD Vance, a guy who wants to be vice president of an entire country of people, got his lie from, and then gave it to Donald Trump, who wants to be the president of that entire country. Going back in time, even further in time, on September 6th, a different popular propaganda X blue account, End Wokeness, which is likely just neo-Nazi collaborator and fascist rat fucker Jack Posobiec, posted these two images. One of a Facebook post and one of a man on a street holding what appear to be geese, along with the text, "Springfield is a small town in Ohio. 4 years ago, they had 60,000 residents. Under Harris and Biden, 20,000 Haitian immigrants were shipped to the town. Now, ducks and pets are disappearing." We'll come back to those specific claims later because they are essentially the claims Vance continues to make. But right now, we're going to focus on the person who happens to be black, outside carrying what appear to be two geese. You might be thinking, how do we know that man is from Springfield? How do you know that man is Haitian? How do you know what's up with those geese or what he's gonna do with those geese? To which I say, good point, not a rube. As it turns out, thanks to an exclusive from, yes, TMZ, the man is from Columbus, Ohio, and according to the Ohio Division of Wildlife, was picking up two geese that were hit in a car accident. Also, according to that Ohio Division of Wildlife, there's no evidence that he's an immigrant or Haitian or was going to eat the geese. This dovetails with a social media influencer who attended a Springfield Town Commission meeting. In his speech, shared by both Elon Musk and JD Vance, he mentions the geese rumor as well.
They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them like...
Some picture and a guy saying it? Now that's gotta be true. In a later interview, the person in that clip said they don't know anything about the cats and dogs, and the geese thing was actually just a rumor he heard. So... okay, but you said it was a thing that happened. You described it like you saw it, but okay, it's a rumor. We seem to be experiencing the start of a pattern where JD says that all of these claims, direct quote, come from firsthand accounts from my constituents. But that doesn't turn out to be true. And of course, yes, that lie is still up. But what about the rest of the lies, you ask? Good point. Let's keep digging. Oh, it's a very shallow hole. Excellent. Okay, so the one on the left is also not true. The now deleted Facebook post was put up by Springfield resident Erica Lee on September 5th and alleged that her neighbor's daughter's friend had lost their cat and eventually found it dead and strung up outside one of their Haitian neighbors' homes. Now, a stolen and dead pet put on display for the entire neighborhood to see seems like something that would be at least reported to the police. It was not, but it was redacted as a thing that happened. Lee and her neighbor, Kimberly Newton, who originally told her the story, were interviewed by NewsGuard. And here's what Newton, who the poster heard it from, told them. "I'm not sure I'm the most credible source," great start, "because I don't actually know the person who lost the cat. The person who lost the cat," she said, "was an acquaintance of a friend. That friend learned about it from not her acquaintance who lost her cat, but from a source that she had. She also said, I don't have any proof," which, don't worry, Kimberly, we didn't think you did. So to sum up, the apparent source of what former President Trump said was a deleted post written by a woman who heard it from a neighbor, who heard it from a friend, who was an acquaintance of the victim, but heard about it from someone else. Just gonna let that breathe. The poster, Lee, added something that perhaps a lot of people involved in this should be thinking, even though they won't. Quote, "It just exploded into something I didn't mean to happen." Exactly what I said on prom night. Waka waka. Anyway, it seems that this Facebook post is where a lot of far-right activists started spreading the rumor up to the president. Former president. None of it substantiated, of course, despite people like Christopher Rufo literally offering money for any evidence. Please, Paul, please, you gotta give me some evidence. I'll be good, I swears. This offer of thousands of dollars for any evidence of this pet eating seems to have come up short. But shoot, let's give it one more shot.
We've lost a whole bunch of cats. There was a van pulled over that had over 100 cats in it with the Haitians. They said they was eating them.
Actually?
Yeah.
Not fake news.
Not fake news.
So a van was collecting cats and eating them.
I watched it happen, yeah. Watched them get pulled over with the cats and admit to the police that they was eating them.
You're not joshing with me.
No, I'm almost 50 years old, buddy. No.
The obviousness, the brazen, craven lying is pathetic and incredible to see. It's just two guys like, hey, you lying? Oh, you know I'm lying. You want to lie with me? Oh, hell yeah, brother. Let's just keep on lying to each other. It is tragic and embarrassing that this was posted and shared and believed by even some people. You see, the Haitians were in a van. You know, just some Haitians, right? And they had a van, and in that van was 100 cats. You hear me? And the police pulled over that van of Haitians and their 100 cats in the van with them. And the Haitians told the police, they were like, hey, police. Hey, and they told the police they were going to eat those 100 cats in their van. What can you even say at this point? All of these absurd lies and easily debunked claims are what vice presidential candidate JD Vance is propping up. These are the claims that he's concerned about, that he thinks are a legitimate, useful tool to bring attention to his real concerns. But maybe all of these obvious lies and debunked claims aren't the ones Vance is concerned about. We don't want to just assume that all of these obvious lies and debunked claims are the stories that Vance himself believes or wants you to believe. Maybe there's some kind of real concrete evidence about a cat being stolen and eaten by a Haitian migrant in Springfield, Ohio that he can point to. And wouldn't you know it, there is! Yes, a Vance spokesperson actually provided the Wall Street Journal with an actual police report. Huzzah. Of course, it's a little weird that JD would even bother looking for evidence, since, according to him, it doesn't matter if it's true, and he, in fact, by his own admission, had to invent the story. But okay, great. A solemn huzzah. Evidence of this legitimate concern. Not a Facebook post from a woman who had a neighbor, who had a friend, who had a source about an acquaintance of that friend evidence. But still pretty good. A police report from August about a resident who couldn't find her cat, and so called the police because she thought it might have been taken by her Haitian neighbors. A resident who, when a journalist simply asked her about it, revealed that she found the cat a couple days later in her basement. So, thanks to JD for your complete waste of time, by which I mean you. That police report, of course, appears to also have been posted by the crypto-Nazi account End Wokeness. That's so weird how he's always just sort of like right before the things happen. Though one should note that End Wokeness / probably Jack Posobiec tags the account that obtained the report, an account called Oversight PR, which, wouldn't you know it by clicking on it and looking, is an arm of the Heritage Foundation. So that's interesting. You know, the Heritage Foundation that's behind Project 2025, but has nothing to do with Trump or their campaign or plans, despite all of the evidence to the contrary. And also, here they are providing a police report so that JD Vance's campaign can keep failing to prove a lie in order to push for mass deportations. That one? Yeah, that one. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, hey, quit guessing what I'm thinking. Also, hey, this is all a bit so very silly. Because it is. It's okay to think that. It is very silly. I'm just gonna say it, okay? Cancel me if you have to. I don't think there were 100 cats in that van. Sorry. But what if I told you that it's not just silly, but it's also racist? And no, JD, I don't mean in the Mountain Dew is racist way. Ha ha ha, chuckle, chuckle. Ah, I love you folks. Ya are so good. Love ya. No, what I mean is, well, remember that clip I showed you of the guy and the 100 cats in the van and how silly it was? Well, because we're fair and balanced here, I didn't want to taint your opinion of the matter by first showing you an earlier part of that expose talking to residents of Springfield. This earlier part.
Don't wave at me, you sorry f***ing sand monkey.
Don't worry, he says it more later in the video too. Interesting dynamic developing here though, wouldn't you say? So, no, JD, I don't mean Mountain Dew racism, nor do I really mean in the way that should already be obvious. That it's f***ed up and racist and weird and bad to spread unfounded rumors of a few instances of alleged barbarity in order to demonize an entire group of people. That's something that JD Vance isn't stupid enough to not understand. There's a reason he called Trump America's Hitler. But we'll get back to that. Right now, we've got some other different Nazis to talk about. Because here's some more news. A day after the maybe future president again, Trump, said illegal immigrants are eating people's dogs and cats and pets, the founder of a neo-Nazi group called Blood Tribe went on Telegram to declare victory, writing that Blood Tribe pushed Springfield into the public consciousness. Eagle-eared listeners might recognize that we spread a lie so that people would focus on this place is almost exactly what JD Vance said he was doing, creating stories so that people would pay attention to Springfield. But we'll come back to that. Right now, we're finding out one of the big twists, that the thing that sounded like a racist Nazi lie turned out to be that. The neo-Nazi group Blood Tribe has apparently been on the Haitians are eating your pets beat for much longer than Riz Master General JD Vance. While various rumors and complaints started popping up on local Facebook groups back in late June about Haitian children chasing ducks and geese, the savages! Over the following weeks, the posts from anonymous users started to veer into and now they're eating them territory. Do we have a clip of the concerned citizens watching children chase ducks?
They're eating her. And then they're going to eat me. Oh my God!
Just the kind of standard level-headed post one would see on the Facebook.com. Over the summer, this Nazi group became more intertwined with the issue of Haitian migration into Springfield, Ohio. In August, Blood Tribe marched in Springfield under, say it with me, swastika flags. And, say it with me, threatened people with, keep saying it with me, guns. Here's a Springfield resident mentioning it.
We all know about the neo-Nazis just a couple weeks ago being down. And I ain't saying that it's right and I ain't saying it's wrong. But look, let's think about it. I'm 36 years old, and in 36 years, that's the first time I've ever seen the neo-Nazis rally in our city.
It's okay, you can say it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it's wrong is a wild thing to say about a neo-Nazi rally. If you're talking about a neo-Nazi rally and you say, I'm not saying it's right and I'm not saying it's wrong, you're saying it's right. Anyway, despite that guy only knowing about the one neo-Nazi rally and not saying if it's right or wrong, there is a neo-Nazi group there. A couple weeks after the march, that particular chapter's leader could be seen at the Springfield City Commission meeting, issuing a warning about the migrants.
I've come to bring a word of warning. Stop what you're doing before it's too late. Crime and savagery will only increase with every Haitian you bring in. And with it, public frustration and anger.
You sound threatening to me.
Based on the comments
if I could ask the police to go ahead.
I'm sure I don't need to tell you that.
Just sound threatening if you go ahead and just peacefully be removed.
He was promptly removed for the weirdly worded threat and on account of him being literally a Nazi. There goes the tolerant left, kicking out Nazis. You may recognize that meeting because it's the same one attended by that social media influencer who said the Haitians were grabbing and cutting the heads off of and eating ducks from the pond, and then later said it was a rumor even though he originally just said it was happening. So a social media influencer and a Nazi walk into a town hall meeting. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Blood Tribe posts were put up on Telegram and Gab in early August, featuring various racial epithets as well as claims of rumors about Haitian migrants eating domesticated pets and ducks from ponds. Then, curiously, right-wing freaks like End Wokeness and Jack Posobiec started posting about the rumors in Springfield. Then JD and Elon did, even though everything they posted was debunkable lies. And then, of course,
they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
From the mouths of babes. Wait. Nazis. From the mouths of Nazis. Just want to establish that and make it clear. Donald Trump ranting about how they're eating dogs and cats and pets is a rumor with zero evidence perpetuated by Nazis in order to bring attention to their desire to mass deport millions of people. That's what happened here. And that's just the eating cats claim. There are other parts of this, and as JD tried to say and then tried to clarify poorly a bunch more times, he's merely using the eating pets thing, creating it as he put it, and can't seem to acknowledge that maybe it's a harmful lie, but he wants to bring attention to other problems. Mainly that Kamala Harris and the Biden administration shipped 20,000 illegal immigrants to Springfield, Ohio, and those illegal immigrants who may or may not be eating people's pets are a drain on the community and are problem drivers and need to be mass deported because we need to focus on American problems. And I'm sure JD Vance totally wants to support the programs and services that the Haitians are taking advantage of with their thuggish looting, etc. So when we come back, we're going to examine how these cat-memed Haitian migrants even got to Springfield, Ohio. Did future former Vice President Kamala Harris bus 20,000 of them from Haiti to Ohio? Can one drive to Ohio from Haiti? Where is Haiti? The Caribbean? Ooh la la, that sounds nice. I bet it's nice. Why come here? Also, when we come back, we're going to find out why Haiti is or isn't nice. Ads.
Hey there, honey buns. You know, hair and thinning hair is just like the ocean. Some people embrace it, others fear it. And it's filled with sharks. So whether or not you were a man or woman at birth, you may perhaps be concerned about thinning hair. I know I have been lately. I'm shedding like wild these days, folks. Well, my sweet, sweet, delicious honey buns, Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. They have formulas for men and women because hair issues aren't caused by just one thing. It could be hormonal or lifestyle related. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the sharks ate it. I know that's what I'm dealing with. My point is, no matter why, Nutrafol will help. So get results you can run your fingers through. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code MORENEWS. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled NUTRAFOL.com. Promo code MORENEWS. That's Nutrafol.com. Promo code MORENEWS.
Cody's a blowin'. Coming in over the shoulder he is. I'm Cody, and I'm here to tell you all about AG1. I dabble in AG1 for these ads, as you may know. Sometimes I'll drink it on days when I need a little nutrition boost, or honestly, I just like the taste. It doesn't taste like vitamins or kale or whatever, despite having a bunch of vitamins and whatnot. And according to AG1, it helps with digestion and gut health. Keeps you regular. I certainly feel regular. Toilet stuff. Also, it's got vitamins and minerals and all the stuff you'd get in a supplement. But again, it tastes good. Sweeter than you'd think. I want to say creamy. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? You know what? I'll just drink it and you can see my satisfied face. That's a fake smile. It tastes good. It's a satisfied face. Because AG1 has no added sugar. It's made from bioavailable ingredients designed to make it work with your juicy body. It fills your nutrient gaps on those days when you just can't get a full meal, and it tastes yumbo. It's yumbo in your tumbo, as somebody says that. So start with AG1 and notice the difference for yourself. It's a great first step to investing in your health, and that's why they've been a proud partner of mine for so long. That's why, too. Try AG1 and get a free bottle of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/morenews. That's a 48 $1 value for free if you go to drinkag1.com. More news / more news. drinkag1.com / more news. Check it out. Check it out. Welcome back, people and other people. We were just talking about how vice presidential candidate JD Vance has been working overtime to dectuple down on the president, yelling on stage that illegal immigrants are eating people's dogs and cats and pets. A claim that originated by vague, unsubstantiated rumors, possibly from neo-Nazis in the area, and boosted and pushed further definitely by those neo-Nazis in the area. But this lie that JD Vance continues to lie is immaterial, remember? It's not about the eating the cats, even though keep the cat memes flowing. It's about the concern regarding the 20,000 Haitian migrants that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden shipped to Springfield, Ohio. So let's keep digging. Maybe not deeper because it's pretty shallow, actually. It's pretty transparent what's going on. But we will certainly dig wider. Let's go back before the, incidentally, black children started chasing ducks in a pond. How did Haitians end up in Springfield? Okay, well, the 20,000 Haitians, it says here 12,000 to 15,000, because that's the number city officials have given, despite Vance and his cohort sticking with 20,000 because 20,000 sounds scarier, because big number, scarier number. Okay, so these, I guess, 13,500 Haitians moved to Springfield because Kamala just kind of shipped them there and dropped them off. This paper keeps saying something other than what JD says. While some of these Haitian migrants are in the country because of the Biden-Harris administration, they're in Springfield because they just sort of moved there over several years because there were jobs available and they knew people there. As Reuters reports, recent and long-standing immigrants said family and social networks, word of mouth, and the quest for higher wages and lower living costs helped draw people to Springfield. Indeed, many people often do move places due to work or knowing people there. Okay, so they weren't dumped, and there are more than 10,000 of them, and they haven't been eating cats or other pets. But these illegal immigrants they're here legally? Many of the migrant workers had already lived elsewhere in the USA on work permits. Okay, and they're actually not illegal immigrants because they actually had their temporary protected status extended by the Biden administration. For many, a status that goes back to the 2010 earthquake, which we'll get to. Although there was a brief period where the status was revoked, which we'll also get to. Now, actually. Okay, so you might remember Haiti from being a country that exists, and more recently and specifically, Haiti is specifically the country that Donald Trump called a shithole country back in 2018. So not actually that recently. He just didn't want specifically them here. We will unfortunately also get to that, but the point is many of these migrants, for various reasons, are here seeking asylum. Do we have a clip of our former president talking about asylum?
They're coming from all over the world, from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums.
Why did I even ask? Oh, because he says it funny. I wanted to hear it again. That's right. Anyway, a quick refresher on Haiti is probably in order here. Once known as Saint-Domingue by the French, who colonized the west side of the island Hispaniola, nearing the end of the 1700s, the French colony had a population of about 500,000 enslaved Africans, who France exploited to enrich themselves through the production of coffee and sugar by using brutal practices that created absolutely horrendous conditions, even by the already unspeakable standards of chattel slavery in the hemisphere. And so, in 1791, the enslaved population rose up and kicked those piss heads out in the world's first and only successful slave rebellion, which concluded in 1804, creating the nation of Haiti. They invented abolishing slavery. And boy, did that bother America. As a Missouri senator said at the time, welcoming a Haitian diplomat would be seen as a reward for the murder of masters and mistresses by black slaves. A South Carolina colleague added that we never can acknowledge Haitian independence. The peace and safety of a large portion of our union forbids us to even discuss it. And so, founding father and then President Thomas Jefferson, who supposedly loved freedom, isolated Haiti both economically and diplomatically. Meanwhile, Haiti was subsequently forced to pay France reparations for their own freedom, which took them 122 years to do. It's a pretty big burden for a startup country. It wouldn't be until 1862 that the United States would formally recognize Haiti as a sovereign nation. Had to wait until the Civil War had already started. Us too, Haiti, right? Us too, right? But that wasn't the end of the U.S.'s history of screwing over this country. Far from it. Some politicians feel compelled to characterize immigrants coming to America as some sort of invasion. But they're U.S. politicians, so of course they would support an actual invasion, as in when the U.S. Marines literally invaded Haiti in 1915 and continued to occupy the nation for nearly 20 years. Some timeline to note here is that the U.S. invaded Haiti in the middle of 1915 to maintain stability after a series of just so many presidential assassinations. Maybe that's why Trump hates the place so much, actually. That's interesting. Who knows? But before that invasion to maintain stability in 1915, in December of 1914, U.S. Marines also went into Haiti and removed $500,000 from the Haitian National Bank and brought it to New York for safekeeping. So months before the official invasion, the USA had control of Haiti's bank. During this memory hold and little-known forced residency, the United States took further and complete control of the country's finances and military and installed a puppet president, and even conscripted peasants into building roads to support the occupation under armed guard and with no pay. So, 50 years after the United States finally abolished slavery, 70 years after Haiti did, they reinvented slavery and re-enslaved citizens from the only successful slave rebellion in world history. But the thing America really wanted from this excursion was to allow for foreign ownership of land. We want our things, okay? We have our business interests. Unfortunately for America, foreign ownership of land had understandably been explicitly banned in the Haitian Constitution following the revolution. So we proceeded to write a new constitution for them. Or, as Franklin Roosevelt said in 1920, the facts are that I wrote Haiti's constitution myself, and if I do say it, I think it's a pretty good constitution. He was also Assistant Secretary of the Navy at the time. That seems like a weird task for that position. Like rewriting a nation's constitution should have been for someone with a job that isn't Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Regardless, he apparently did great because the proposed new constitution omitted the foreign ownership ban, and we ran a sham election to adopt that new constitution that we rewrote. During that election, to adopt the new constitution that we rewrote so we could own their land, yes cards were readily available, but voters had to specifically ask armed Marines for the no votes. Unsurprisingly, the new constitution was adopted, paving the way on land we can now own for American companies like the American company North Haitian Sugar Co. or the American company Haitian Pineapple Co. And of course, eventually resulting in a monopoly for the American corporation Standard Fruit Company, now called Dole, on the exportation of bananas. This is why they call them banana republics, folks. It says way more about us than it does about them. Eventually, the U.S. and the Marines all left by 1934. Of course, not before gunning down 12 to 22 Haitians and wounding 21 to 51 others while shooting into a crowd of 1,500 people demonstrating against the occupation of their country that we re-enslaved. But although the Marines left by 1934, as NPR reports, the United States continued to control Haiti's public finances until 1947, siphoning away around 40% of Haiti's national income to service debt repayments to the U.S. and France. Or, put more bluntly, as decorated Marine and eventual anti-war advocate Major General Smedley Butler eventually said, "I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenues in. I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefits of Wall Street." And so, In no small part due to our exploitation of this nation, Haiti was never able to develop any type of sustainable economy, which left them vulnerable to brutal dictators. We actually did an entire video about how the West has screwed over Haiti for centuries if you want to learn more. Because even after all the stuff I just said about the invasion and nation building via slave labor and the rewriting of their constitution so we could own their land and further extract their resources and exploit them, the United States has remained a virtually, if not literally, constant factor in Haiti's business ever since. As journalist and author Jonathan Katz summarizes, in the nearly 90 years since that first U.S. occupation ended, U.S. and U.S.-backed forces have remained the most constant factor in Haiti, training and arming Haitian militaries, meddling in elections, and alternately reinstalling and overthrowing Haiti's leaders. In the last 30 years, U.S. troops have invaded or otherwise intervened in Haiti 3 times, in post-coup invasions in 1994 and 2004, and to quell feared unrest, which never materialized, after the 2010 earthquake. Since then, they've had more assassinations as recently as 2021, and gangs have taken over much of the country, including the capital Port-au-Prince, and over 500,000 Haitians have been displaced. And as you probably know by now, tens of thousands of them have come to the United States. And so, considering the fact that the current state of Haiti is in some measure our absolute fault, frankly, the least we could do is allow some of them temporary protected status in our country, after a series of disasters, both natural and political, created a crisis in their country. Their country that we kind of have been treating like our own country for a long time. But despite this readily available information, there are some conservative freaks who relish their lack of knowledge and are even able to make an entire career by bathing in their utter stupidity.
Nobody thinks that it will benefit America to become more like Haiti. Nobody thinks that. Or I would challenge anyone, if they do think that, to explain how that's the case. Like, in what way could this country be improved by making it more like Haiti?
Now, luckily, this Matt Walsh person is talking to someone who actually knows what they're talking about. And they point out the 200 years of American control and extraction in Haiti up to basically now. Walsh, of course, tries to brush it off while acknowledging it, but I just wanted to highlight his initial question. See, when Walsh asks, in what way could this country become more improved by making it more like Haiti, he is implying that Haiti's challenges are a result of some sort of innate deficiency with the Haitian people themselves. That if they come here, they will bring who they are with them. This is the message behind immigrants are eating people's pets, regardless of if you claim to want to use that message to talk about other issues. That is the desired mindset and result of the Nazi lie. In fact, just a few days before filming today's episode, Donald Trump said this.
How about allowing people to come through an open border, 13,000 of which were murderers, many of them murdered far more than one person. And they're now happily living in the United States. You know, now a murderer, I believe this, it's in their genes. And we got a lot of bad genes in our country right now.
Criminal genetics. It's Nazi stuff, folks. There's no other way to put it. It's Nazi stuff. And as Vance has said, it doesn't even matter if any of this is a lie. Of course, neither vice presidential candidate JD Vance nor founder of neo-Nazi group Blood Tribe are the first to engage in and admit to this kind of behavior. See, there's an infamous anti-Semitic and conspiratorial book called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, and it is just full of lies about Jews, to the brim about how everything is the Jews' fault, and also they have plans to take over the world. Portions of it were first serialized in a Russian newspaper in 1903, and after the Russian Revolution in 1917, the anti-Semitic propaganda bravely tread west into Europe and was translated over the following years, eventually getting into American industrialist and Nazi sympathizer Henry Ford's hands. He published his own series of articles partly based on the protocols called The International Jew. Nazi Party ideologue Alfred Rosenberg was another fan of the protocols, and in the early 1920s, he introduced the work to Adolf Hitler, who, stop me if you've heard this one, loved it. The interesting and, of course, tragic thing about this is not just that the protocols were repeatedly debunked even at the time. Like, obviously, it was easily debunkable nonsense, and was in fact shown to be a forgery and partially plagiarized from a French political satire and a Prussian novel as early as 1921. But also, the Nazis didn't believe it either. Rosenberg wrote in 1934 that it was less the so-called authenticity of the protocols than the inner truth of what is stated. And of course, Joey G, J. Gerbs, the gerbil with the Führer, that doesn't really work. Joseph Goebbels wrote in his diary in 1924, "I believe in the inner but not the factual truth of the protocols." This stuff was taught in Nazi schools. It was a cornerstone of their propaganda. Anyway, speaking of perpetuating a racist lie in order to scapegoat and demonize an entire group, we were talking about JD Vance and his weird Nazi lie, and how, according to him, it doesn't matter that it's not true. He posted on some website, "It's possible, of course, that all of these rumors will turn out to be false." Yes, it's certainly possible, Jed. He then listed a few things he'd rather talk about that aren't just possible, but confirmed, and we'll get to those. But he followed up that website post with, "Don't let the crybabies in the media dissuade you, fellow patriots, and of course, keep the rat memes flowing." Wait, no, sorry, cat memes. Keep the cat memes flowing. Because surely JD knows what he's doing. He's stupid if he doesn't. Bringing attention to the plights of a town is one thing, but JD, all of those rumors did turn out to be false. And so you've effectively demonized an entire ethnic group based on a lie in service of a project and man who thinks people are bringing their criminal genetics into our nation and poisoning our blood. And I guess I just have to ask, do you feel good about that? Do you feel good that you brought to the national level false accusations that an entire ethnic group is stealing and eating people's pets when they weren't? Is it being a crybaby to think that that was bad? Because you didn't communicate to the entire country that, oh, somebody ate a person's pet and they're Haitian. What you're communicating to the public is, Haitians eat your pets. That is what you're doing. Because, and I'm sorry I saved this piece of information for this far into the video, do you know who actually did kill some geese in Springfield? Some white American guy shot some geese on some golf course. Just something to note. If you assume Haitians stole your cat to eat it, maybe wait a day. It's probably in your basement. If you hear Haitians are killing geese that they shouldn't, maybe it's actually your uncle. Simon Golf Uncle. Yeah. Hey, remember when Trump called Haiti a shithole country and removed their temporary protected status, and how he seemed to have a particular dislike of specifically Haiti in the very racist meeting that happened early in his presidency that caused those in the meeting to be taken aback? Oh my heavens, if only somebody was there to do something about this racist man. I'm so taken aback. Anyway, in a different meeting, he went on a mini rant and specifically referred to Haiti as being full of AIDS or something. Oh yeah, here it is. People in Haiti, quote, all have AIDS. You might recognize this as being another part of his running mate JD Vance's concern about Springfield, that HIV rates are rising. It's from that tweet where he said it doesn't matter if the cat eating rumors are true because all this other stuff is true. Well, it's not true. It's simply not. It is weird, though, for Trump to single out Haiti specifically, since Haiti's rate of HIV is 2% of the population, and while still relatively high compared to other nations, there are a lot of other countries with much higher rates. For example, South Africa has the fourth highest rate and the highest number. So Donnie, I mean, do you really want this diseased sex pest who by his brother's own admission was an illegal immigrant running the government with you? Get him out of here, Donnie. You gotta kick him out. Kick him out. Kick him out. Kick him. Kick him. Just kick that guy. He sucks. Anyway, it doesn't matter that those rates in Springfield aren't actually going up. It doesn't matter that despite JD Vance's claim, police and officials say that crime is not going up. Cops love to say that crime is going up. Do you think they don't want you to give them more stuff to fight the crime that's going up? But it doesn't matter. Surely crime has to be going up because these people are violent criminals. As the former president recently said, it's in their genes. That social media influencer at the town commission meeting who talked about the geese getting their heads chopped off and eaten, and then he was like, well, that was just a rumor, even though he didn't say it was a rumor. Well, he also, in passing, said this.
We got to do something, bro. It's kids out here getting hurt. Like,
as far as I can tell, that's specifically in reference to something that you might recognize from JD's tweet about how it doesn't matter if the cat eating rumors are true because all this other stuff is true. Specifically, he says, do you know what's confirmed? That a child was murdered by a Haitian migrant who had no right to be here. Not quite, JD. An 11-year-old boy named Aiden Clark did die in a tragic car accident last year in Springfield, Ohio, when a Haitian migrant collided with a school bus. He did not have a valid U.S. driver's license at the time and was sentenced to at least 9 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter and vehicular homicide. I know the homicide in there makes it sound like murder, but that's just the legal term for when a person's illegal or negligent operation of a motor vehicle leads to the death of another individual. But if someone's killed in a car accident due to someone else's negligence, is it murder? I mean, that might be something a distraught parent might say. You murdered my son, but it's weird for a vice president to say it. Also, it's the exact opposite of what the parents say.
To clear the air, my son, Aiden Clark, was not murdered. He was accidentally killed by an immigrant from Haiti.
Aiden's father specifically calls out Vance and Trump for being morally bankrupt and politicizing his son's death. He urges acceptance and a push against this hatred in order to, as he and Aiden's mom say, live like Aiden. It's very sweet and brave of them to have done that, especially when there could have been Nazis there. I encourage you to watch it if you want to get sad, honestly. Aiden's parents, though, aren't the only ones urging more compassion and basic reason and decency. Yes, I'm about to read this right. Libs of TikTok fan responded to Miss of TikTok about their post claiming that Kamala is bussing in migrants. The Libs of TikTok fan, and by the way, also Republican state senator, was just like, listen, ma'am, I love your posts about gay and trans people, but this isn't true. She explains how it's not true and how she knows it's not true, and explains how these kinds of lies can be really harmful to good, hardworking people in the community. Miss of TikTok doesn't really respond to the substance, and she attacks the woman, to which the Republican state senator explains that there's no uptick in drugs or crime, and how she's securing funding for driver's education and teachers and addressing these problems. In fact, according to State Highway Patrol data, last year saw the fewest crashes in Springfield in 5 years, and the group most responsible for incidents is mature drivers. But let's say that it is a problem. That guy who said the goose rumor happened, in his speech that Elon and Vance loved so much, he starts talking about how the people on the council need to actually do something, or the police should be teaching Haitians how to drive, or something, etc., and so forth. And yeah, they are. They're doing those things. The governor said there should be a driver's education requirement for adults to get their license. And yeah, it shouldn't have taken racism to do that. But yes, even a Libs of TikTok fan can recognize all of this and is doing something about it without the racism or scapegoating. In fact, pushing back against the racism and scapegoating. But of course, we don't want any of that. Vance needs to say that a Haitian murdered a kid so that he can make people think Haitians are murderers. After all, it's like JD Vance's America's Hitler says. It's in their genes. We need to feed the Nazi lie that this is just how Haitians are, so we might as well purposefully highlight stories of Haitian migrants getting into car accidents because they're the only ones who do that, right? anything in service of the idea that immigrants are dirty, diseased, barbaric, backwards, dangerous, evil, criminal people. It's not a new lie. In fact, it's pretty old, as in specifically the claim that immigrants are eating pets has been deployed mercilessly to dehumanize Asian immigrants throughout our history, particularly in the lead up to the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. But really, it's a xenophobic trope that could be used against anybody. Do you eat pigs? You know what animal is like dogs? Pigs. You just happen to have been born in a place that doesn't care. Like, people eat all kinds of animals in all kinds of places. People hunt and eat ducks. But if you're racist, you can make it racist. In fact, JD Vance, you down-home Appalachian and Ohio man, you. After World War II, when West Virginians migrated to places like Ohio and Indiana to find a better standard of living and better paying jobs, they were often referred to as snakes, snake eyes, and if it wasn't clear enough for you, snake eaters. All of this is just xenophobia, and it's just so lazy and obvious. The monsters are eating your pets and bringing crime and disease. I know I've already mentioned it more than once. I mentioned it so many times, but Trump is literally out there being like, they're poisoning our blood. They've got bad genes that they're mixing with ours. It is wild that he said that, and it's just like, Trump, you know, that's just the kind of stuff he says. It's just so fucked up that we're just kind of numb to this stuff now. Anyway, speaking of stupid Nazis,
a recent piece in National Geographic tells you a lot about demographics in America and about how bewilderingly fast they're changing without any real public debate on the subject. The magazine profiles the small coal mining town of Hazleton, Pennsylvania. In the year 2000, Hazleton's population was 2% Hispanic. Just 16 years later, Hazleton is majority Hispanic. That's a lot of change. People who grew up in Hazleton return to find out they can't communicate with the people who now live there. And that's bewildering for people. That's happening all over the country. No nation, no society has ever changed this much, this fast.
You'll notice Tucko looks a bit fresher there. A bit less rugged, a little more on television, a little less disgraced. I could have shown you a few more recent clips of him talking about this specific town and Haitians specifically and how he's scared of their witchcraft. I'm not joking. Here's the quote on screen for all you watching the video heads out there. Instead, I'd like to focus on this segment he did in 2018. We have an entire segment of our own about that segment, inceptment, etc. In his, he laments the sharp demographic change in a small Midwestern town due to a sharp rise in immigration. Stop me if you've heard this one before. He questions whether or not human beings can handle quick changes like that, sudden social shifts, learning new languages, etc. He has a very high opinion of human beings, clearly. But the piece was sparked, as he states in it, by a different piece in National Geographic, which highlights that small Pennsylvania town of Hazleton. His segment, curiously, is about basically 5% of the article, in a way that pretends the rest of the article doesn't exist. See, the article is called, "As America Changes, Some Anxious Whites Feel Left Behind." So just the perfect collection of words for him to read and not have a second thought about. It discusses issues the town was going through due to a sharp rise in population and demographic shifts. But a lot of the article was about how people tend to adjust, and actually immigration is good for communities, despite growing pains. A local bartender jokes about learning a new language. It follows a white mayor of a majority black city dealing with white backlash for taking down some racist statues. One subject of the article and a resident of Hazleton even acknowledges the irony of how her grandfather dealt with the same kind of racist accusations. See, here in America, we don't discriminate when it comes to discrimination. So when, for example, Italians and the Irish came to the country, they were non-white and we hated them. So it's interesting and perhaps frustrating that she knows that, but doesn't care or recognize it as an actual issue. Of course, she also said, "We have one of us in the White House, Trump, and we are going to make America great again." And when asked who she meant by we, she said, "The we are the Caucasians that built this country, our generation. We're going to make our grandfathers proud. We have to." First of all, Tragic news for her on who did the building on account of being forced to. But also, our generation is the we that built this country? The woman who said that was 53. Fucking Gen X, man. Anyway, my point is that all this stuff, all the different avenues and angles and analysis and information in that article is not mentioned by Tucker. He just read the headline, "As America changes, some anxious whites feel left behind." And he went on the news like, what is there to do about this? Who's even talking about it? What's going on? Can people handle anything ever happening? But the article talks about all of that. He chooses to pretend it's this unknowable issue, this unsolvable problem, unless, of course, you want to deport everybody. It's actually quite eerie how familiar this Hazleton story is. For reasons we'll probably discuss later, in the early 2000s, Hazleton experienced an influx of Latino families arriving from other states. The Latino population increased over time, and in 2006, 2 Hispanic immigrants allegedly killed a Hazleton man. The charges against the 2 were later dropped, but in the meantime, Hazleton's mayor Lou Barletta and the conservative city council got to ride the fear of crime anti-immigrant sentiment to do things like make English the official town language, whatever that means, and pass punitive laws against renters and employers who rent to or employ illegal immigrants. Land of the free, where people are illegal. Those ordinances were eventually knocked down by the courts. More on that later. Do we have a clip of Mayor Lou Barletta in court admitting that he didn't know how many undocumented immigrants lived there, or how many committed crimes, or what goo-goo, or how gaga? We don't. We don't. But he did say that. Not the goo goo gaga part, but the other stuff. Okay, awesome. Well, I wish we had a clip, but we will be going full screen for this next quote because I really have to sneeze. And also, it really brings home a lot of what we've been talking about this episode. It's a quote from that article that Tucker either didn't read or doesn't want you to read for some reason. It involves Jamie Longazelle, who grew up in Hazleton and is now a professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City. So I'm going to read this quote that Tucker didn't read to you. It's a quote from 2018. His research found repeated themes. The anecdotes were often similar. Did that many people really witness a Latino family at the grocery store using food stamps to buy seafood and steak? Or did the stories spiral forward on their own weight, embraced and repeated as personal observation? And why did so few people in his research reference the new residents who were paying taxes, going to church twice a week, buying sedans on Airport Road, and opening businesses that percolate all up and down North Wyoming Street? So, for example, you hear somebody say,
"They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them like."
But then later on they say,
"All I said was, people are in the parks getting ducks and grabbing them up by their head and cutting them off and walking off and eating them because this is a rumor going around the city."
Right. Despite rumors of food stamps and steak or eating pets or killing geese or whatever, and some actual conflict and growing pains in towns like Hazleton, people are people and live and contribute to society. Apparently, for JD and the GOP, there's only option one: round up millions of people and deport them. But what if, stick with me, there's option two: many other options. And so we're going to look at some of those things when we come back from the break. We're going to go back to Hazleton since Tucker's last visit and see how things are going. We're going to look a little closer at Springfield's problems, and we're going to see what JD wants to do about it, if anything. What he's done, what he's doing, what he's up to, how he's feeling. Whatever makes sense.
Hi, I'm television's Cody Johnston. Katy Stoll. My name is Katy Stoll. Hi, I'm television's Katy Stoll, and I'm here to tell you about Quince and their beautiful cashmere sweaters. Look, I'm wearing one right now. I'm what they call a Quince Prince. Who is they, you ask? Oh, you know. It's fall now, or autumn, as the snobs say, and this royal muffin is excited for their Mongolian cashmere sweaters starting at $50 human dollars. In fact, all of Quince's items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. That includes leather jackets, cotton cardigans, and all the denim you can eat. I mean, don't eat it, though. How, you ask? How can so much luxury come at such a low cost? It's witchcraft, I tell you. Also, they partner directly with the factories to cut out the middleman. And not just any factory, factories that are safe and ethical and have responsible manufacturing practices. Responsible feels good on the skin of this Quincy Princey. Side note, I just want to add this little anecdote. I recently got my best friend a beautiful Italian leather crossbody bag for her birthday, and she loved it because of course she does. Everybody loves Quince. I got their Italian suede trucker jacket for when I'm at the bar, hanging out in the corner flipping a coin. It's smooth, like backside flesh. So get cozy in Quince's high quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/more news for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/more news to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/more news. Take it from the prince, baby. You're gonna like what they got.
Now that I've moved to the mountains, I'm Katy. I'm a big fan of hootenannies. Shindigs are cool too. I don't even mind a hubbub or two, but hootenannies are the tops. And gosh, I'm able to partake in these ruckuses while managing a small business thanks to Found. That's a business banking app designed for small business owners like you. In fact, you can get Found today for free at found.com/more news. We're talking about managing all your financial tussles, such as invoicing, expense tracking, and heck, even taxes. They have no hidden or maintenance fees. It's just simple and fast and lets you get back to your various Donnybrooks and Ructions. And I'll tell you what, they have so many positive reviews. Here's one from Trustpilot saying, quote, I'm just gonna read it from this. I have never seen an app for freelancers, contractors, and business owners that has everything they need with such automation. See? That's what it says. So sign up for Found for free today at found.com/more news. Found is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services are provided by Piermont Bank. Member FDIC. Found's core features are free. They also offer an optional paid product, Found Plus. Hootenanny.
Hi, it's Katy. As we all know and are saddened by, we can't all hire actor James Remar to protect us with his lightning powers. But never give up hope, because I'm here to tell you about Simply Safe. Listen, crime isn't actually on the rise, and I don't think we need to live in a constant state of paranoia. But there are a million reasons someone might want a little home security. I like it because I can keep tabs on that weird neighbor cat. He has a little tuxedo on, like that American Beauty kid. Creeps me out. Well, Simply Safe is both easy to use and cutting edge. Unlike old systems that just have a sensor or two, Simply Safe's Active Guard has live monitoring agents who can see and speak to anyone outside your home. So they can yell at that shifty neighbor cat when you're not around. Get out of here, Amadeus. You're freaking me out. I'm trying to watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation featuring James Remar. Okay? Listen. This one kind of got away from me. My point is, we have worked with Simply Safe to offer an exclusive 50% off discount on a new security system with a select professional monitoring plan. But you got to visit simplysafe.com/more news soon to claim yours. This offer is only valid for 1 week. So visit this website now. That's simplysafe.com/more news. Because, folks, there's no safe like Simply Safe. You hear that, Amadeus?
Folks, we couldn't be more back. Yeah, we could. Okay, we are fully back, and we were just talking about so many dang things. I mean, immigrants eating pets, Nazi stuff, bananas at one point, a whole lot of stuff. You know,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls, just whatever makes sense.
Fascinating. Speaking of clips, here's another clip. It's from a different investigative journalist who went to Springfield in order to get quotes of people complaining about immigrants.
I'm currently in the process of reapplying for food stamps, but again, even that for us is a fight because of these Haitians. We can't get these simple things because they're coming and they're taking it.
I bet they're even buying steak with those food stamps. Now, JD Vance would like you to believe that he is concerned about real problems facing his non-Haitian constituents. To him, a lot of those problems are and stem from the non-constituent Haitians, and immigration generally. But despite the fact that, legally speaking, they're legal immigrants, he views them as illegal immigrants, ruining these other people's lives and draining their resources. And he's cool with having used unfounded and obviously bogus rumors that all turned out to be wrong in order to demonize a whole ethnic group, leading to harassment and bomb threats in the town. And he doesn't care if any of it's true or not, as long as we can talk about how this lady can't get her fucking food stamps. I'm sure JD loves food stamps. But before we get to whether or not JD Vance loves food stamps, let's return to Hazleton and get this over with. Immigration is generally good for the economy and the country. It just is. It doesn't bring more crime. Natural-born citizens commit more crime than immigrants. Immigration benefits American taxpayers. Even that libs of TikTok Republican state senator pointed this out in her reply about how they helped improve things. And so it might not surprise you that many mid-sized, small, and rural towns have been trying to attract immigrants in order to boost their economies over the last decade or so. This idea that immigration makes areas poorer and overwhelms them with burden may feel correct in the short term, but that's just not how it plays out. Take, for example, Hazleton, Pennsylvania. At one point, it was one of those coal mining boom towns that peaked around World War II and then slowly declined as their industry and population shrank. In 2000, the year, some major distributors took root in the area. This led to, as I mentioned earlier, Latino families moving from New Jersey, New York, and other areas, leading to a rapidly growing Latino population, leading to rapidly growing racism and xenophobia, as we also discussed earlier. But despite that piss Mayor Barletta's efforts to demonize immigrants and the Latino population, they kept moving there. And although you may not see a Tucker Carlson exclusive follow-up on that town that he does not care about, things in Hazleton have actually rebounded. And despite what he and his national conservative movement might want to believe, it didn't rebound because of mass deportation of immigrants, but rather because of those immigrants. Hazleton recently came out of distressed status after getting help from the state and following various recommendations regarding policy and basic balancing of the budget, a process that the city had not gone through, according to one city council member, in forever. No mass deportations necessary. Sorry to the xenophobes out there. You're welcome to the xenomorphs, though. They know why. Anyway, it wasn't easy, but it was done. And Hazleton is still apparently going through an economic boom. And you know what probably actually didn't help the town? All the demonizing of immigrants. Because remember earlier talking about those ordinances that piss Mayor Barletta tried to push through, but they were all challenged and struck down by the courts? Do we have a clip? Those ordinances were eventually knocked down by the courts. More on that later. So later is now, and we do have more on that. Specifically, 1.4 million more, which is the number of dollars spent on the lawyers who fought the town on account of their racist and unconstitutional laws. The less pissed mayor who succeeded Barletta, Joseph Yannuzzi, has pointed out that the city had a budget of $9 million. And so to pay that court-ordered $1.4 million, they had to take out a bank loan. As Yannuzzi also pointed out, with that money, we could have hired 12 police officers, or like something other than cops, but you get the point. This, of course, all started in the early aughts. Thanks to Hazleton, but not only Hazleton, we know how this story can go despite the fear-mongering. So what of Springfield, Ohio? Well, Springfield is not dissimilar from Hazleton. Though not a big coal mining town, it used to be a bustling manufacturing hub that made quite a lot of the nation's agricultural machinery. In the late 60s and 70s, the population was about 80,000, but over the years, factories closed and jobs were shipped overseas. And by 2015, the population had shrunk to about 60,000. But much like in Hazleton, city leaders eventually put together a plan in 2014 to bring in new jobs and business. Over the next several years, they would attract a Japanese auto parts manufacturer, food service firms, logistics companies, a microchip maker, and others. With the estimated 8,000 new jobs came, 8,000 job openings. Unfortunately, a lot of potential employees and younger folks were, as Vance allegedly wrote about in some terrible book of his, dealing with addiction. And so other people moved there. You probably know to whom I am referring. Yes, Haitians. Not only Haitians, but as we mentioned earlier, people moved there because they heard there were jobs. Because there were. And those jobs weren't being filled. So they moved there to start families and have jobs. And this isn't all to say that there are no problems. It's a lot more people, so some services are feeling the strain. It's more people in hospitals and schools and getting assistance, and many who need translators. Rents, like they are in cities throughout the state and country, so no Haitian migrants necessary, are rising. Even before the surge of Haitians, Springfield's poverty rate was about twice the national average. Adding a lot more people to a place can create problems or issues, but not insurmountable ones. Not ones that necessitate you banning people from coming there or kicking out thousands of people who are there. Many of the jobs were also not being filled because of much of the population aging out of that work. So what about simply improving your services? You actually have more money now because of all the people that moved there. This is another important aspect of this. These immigrants aren't doing nothing. They're working jobs. They're starting businesses. They're spending money. They're buying things. All of that contributes to the tax base and to services. People seem to have this weird idea that 20,000 people move to Springfield and all they do is use your services and eat cats. That's it. They don't work or participate in the community or society at large. It's extremely weird. They're taking our jobs and they're lazy leeches. But no, they are on average working and helping. For example, Medicaid is about 5% of Ohio's overall economy. It pays for the health care of 1 in 4 Ohioans, many who, again, are getting older and rely on programs like Medicare and Social Security. Well, if population growth in Ohio is stagnant and the residents are older, then there are more people who need those services, but fewer people who can contribute to and provide those services. They're not taking your food stamps, they're working and thus contributing to the program. These Haitian migrants are working jobs and paying income tax and sales tax, etc. They're not just there. So in response to the strain of this sudden rise in population, it's okay to be like, hey, we're struggling a little. Can we have a little money? Help us out? And indeed, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is earmarking an additional $2.5 million to help with Springfield's health department. They'd already spent some on things like driver education and language interpretation. Call me Cody, but it seems like spending $2.5 million on helping expand and strengthen their healthcare system is a better use of money than, say, $1.9 million to pay for your racist laws that don't stay on the books. Or, I guess, we could just deport everybody, which would cost nothing? Now, ignoring the psychological cost and trauma of a nation seeing the mass deportation of millions of people, the inevitable violence, the separation of families and friends, etc., I think that's an often ignored aspect of this to highlight. But ignoring that cost, how much money would that cost? According to multiple sources of varying ideological leanings, the number ranges from $10,070 to $23,684 per person to deport. Since this is a conservative issue, let's be conservative about it, and we won't even include the additional facilities we'll definitely have to build for the more than 10 million people. And so let's say it costs just $10,000 to deport an immigrant. Reminder that these Haitians are legal immigrants, by the way. And we're not even going to deport 20,000 Haitians, but the more accurate and lower number, 15,000. That is $150 million. Folks, $150 million because a white guy killed a goose? Or instead, we could, stop me if you've heard this before, let them be here. Because of all the reasons. In Columbus, Ohio, 30 minutes away from Springfield, a study on their metro area found that immigrant households contributed $712.4 million to state and local taxes in 2019. That's almost 5 whole mass deportations of Springfield. A federal study also found that refugees and asylees, again, legal immigrants, contribute on average more to the economy than they take away from it. Elon Musk might want to be stupid or lying about how low birth rates and increased immigration caused the fall of the Roman Empire, but increased immigration actually led to its peak. Yes, there can be tension, but it smooths out over time and things improve. And I guess we have 2 questions now. One, does JD Vance know any of this? He presents himself as a guy who can read, so one assumes that he does. But his actions, for example, hitching his wagon to America's Hitler, his words, say otherwise. But before we answer that question, we have another one. What the f*** has JD Vance done for these people? That woman in the video complaining about Haitians taking her food stamps? Bad news to her. JD Vance and the Republican Party don't want food stamps to exist. Like, it's pretty frustrating to see people complain about not getting welfare or public services because of immigrants while supporting the political party that wants to abolish those programs and services. That consistently demonizes people who use it, especially the non-white people. As Rolling Stone describes, in his book I'll never read, Vance writes about folks at the grocery store trying to game the welfare system and recalls that he formed deep class resentments toward those living off government largesse, complaining about, for example, our drug addict neighbor would buy T-bone steaks, which I was too poor to buy for myself but was forced by Uncle Sam to buy for someone else. They're those damn food stamp steaks again! In old blog posts, Vance also lamented that Medicare and Social Security are the biggest roadblocks to any kind of real fiscal sanity. So, I don't know, it doesn't sound like he gives a shit about your fucking food stamps, lady. Not that he doesn't pretend to. Here he is claiming victory for securing money for his constituents.
We've done a lot of good work for our constituents. We've got hundreds of millions of dollars to the Great Lakes.
Eagle-brained viewers might already know that that money came from President Biden's infrastructure bill. A bill that, stop me if you've heard this one before, JD Vance voted against. Because there are things that can be done to help people. Sorry it costs money or whatever, but so does everything. And there are compassionate, sensible, and helpful things that can be done about the tension and strain in a town like Springfield or Hazleton. But no, the only government solution is mass deportation. Anything else is communism that you take credit for but vote against. Even before all of these cat rumors, the city officials in Springfield were just like, yeah, we need a little help. Some money to help us through the transition. If you could help us out, that'd be great. We know it'll help and then get better. And that's a fine solution, right? Unless you're, stop me if you've heard this before, a Nazi, is really the point I'm getting at. Much like a snake that a dumb hick like JD Vance would probably eat, he's spitting in the face of decency and truth in order to serve his fascist lie so we can do mass deportations now, despite what is sometimes even said to his face. At the beginning of this episode, we briefly mentioned that JD Vance, before all this cat-eating stuff, did bring up the Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, once. He was doing this at a hearing that we will watch. He even shared his own clip of it.
Chairman Brown, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to submit a letter for the record from the city of Springfield and our state, the southwestern part of our state, which I think highlights a very real example of this particular concern, straight from the horse's mouth itself. Now, this letter, I want to quote from it. Springfield has seen a surge in population through immigration that has significantly impacted our ability as a community to produce enough housing opportunities for all. Springfield's Haitian population has increased 15 to 20,000 over the last 4 years in a community of under 60,000 previous residents, putting a significant strain on our resources and ability to provide ample housing for all of our residents. And end quote there. And Mike.
No objection. So
thank you. In my conversations with folks in Springfield, it's not just housing. They're trying to build 5,000 new housing units, which is a very Herculean task in a town of about 55,000 people. But it's also hospital services, it's school services, there are a whole host of ways in which this immigration problem, I think, is having very real human consequences.
Our any-eyed viewers might notice that it's just him speaking. What's this interaction? What was said before he spoke? Well, let's go to the original video and show you what was said to JD Vance just seconds before that moment.
What do you see as the relationship, in particular, given that housing is such a big driver of the inflation that we've seen over the last few years? As Senator Hagerty said, the highest in 40 years. What role do you see illegal immigration playing in driving up housing costs, which of course is a main driver of inflation for American citizens?
Let me quickly start by echoing your first comment, which is we don't comment on immigration policy, but we do comment on inflation. So I would say this. Many people came into the country over the last couple of years, many of them through asylum requests, and went to work. Labor supply increased a great deal. It's not, there's no clear answer, but my sense is that in the long run, immigration is kind of neutral on inflation. In the short run, it may actually have helped because the labor market got looser because there were more people. But to you're talking about housing specifically. There will be, I'm sure there are places in the country where new people coming into the country, I'm sure you can find places and they exist where that will have contributed to an already tight housing market. But overall, in terms of aggregate inflation, I wouldn't say it's a driver one way or the other.
To his face. He was told to his face. Well, actually, immigration helped the economy and kept inflation from going up more than it would have. And generally, over time, these issues smooth out. Generously, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, said it was neutral. To his face. And then he's like, how are you going to build 5,000 homes? That's a lot of homes to build. And now, with these 20,000 more people, what are we to do? First of all, JD, we're the United Goddamn States of shitting America. We can build 5,000 homes, you pathetic little naysaying, unpatriotic worm. Second of all, it's actually more like 12 to 15,000 people. But third of all, you were just told that immigrants fill job positions and work hard. He's framing it like 20,000 people showed up and are just kind of like, sitting around? Who do you think's going to be building those homes? Most likely, the people being called sand monkeys, not the people saying sand monkeys. JD goes on to ask how an influx of workers helps a tight labor market. Is told how. Then he asks why you have to bring in immigrants and can't just raise wages to attract new white American workers. And because that sounds like a weird question, specifically for JD to ask, here it is.
You see a labor shortage. Rather than bringing in a large number of new immigrants, why not try to boost wages in a way that brings some of those workers off the sidelines? That seems to be a much better focus from my perspective.
Certainly, that's a very constructive focus. I would agree. It's not, I don't think it has to be one or the other.
What? JD, what? Why not just raise wages? Sure, man, go ahead. Are you going to do that? Organizations like the Economic Policy Institute have pretty clear recommendations to help raise wages or force a tight labor market in order to raise wages, etc. Those suggestions are things like jobs programs, raising the minimum wage, strengthening unions and the right to collectively bargain, ending forced arbitration, regularizing undocumented workers, or securing more sick leave and paid family leave, or going after wage theft. Do you want to do any of that? Or are you maybe more in line with the party, your party, that wants to do things that places like EPI recommend not to do in order to raise wages, like lowering taxes on individuals and corporations, austerity, and deregulation? Hey, JD, you want to be the president? Why not just raise wages? You fucking dumb commie asshole. Anyway, here's some more news. What a piece of shit that guy is. You suck, JD. You're America's Hitler's pet. Congratulations. Go to hell. Poop in your own mouth and swallow. Okay. Bye, folks. Oh, this just in, there's more. When you're done swallowing that poop you pooped, poop that out and swallow that. Dipshit. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and boy, I really gotta start saying that at the beginning of the video. And leave a comment, that'd be nice. We've got a patreon.com/somemorenews. We've got a podcast called Even More News. You can listen to it podcast-wise, or you can watch it video podcast-wise on this channel, which you should subscribe to it, please, and like it. The video too. You can also listen to Some More News, which you just watched, as a podcast if you prefer to not look at my stupid face. And we've got merch at a merch store. That link is on the screen, and examples of the merch, hopefully, are also on the screen. And you know what else? Oh, breaking news again. Oh my god. He did it. He pooped and then he ate it, and then he pooped that out and he ate it. All right, JD! That's my president!